Some of you guys must be under some kind of misapprehension here. Because the police occasionally do their job, because every once in a while a policeman does something heroic, and of course, because the left has spent 2 years trying to destroy the police, to defund the police, and to horrifically kangaroo court, railroad prosecute policemen and shit, that back the blue should be a conservative position. That supporting the police should be a libertarian right wing position or something like that. Why? First of all, the law barely exists in this country. Second of all, frequently, and this is true, this is absolutely true, and this is something the left is absolutely correct about, police have been continuously held as above the law. That they do get away with shit constantly. Now, we've seen a few police men and women get railroaded into prison for shit they shouldn't have, but that doesn't mean that there hasn't been hundreds, if not thousands, of police cases that should have at least went to trial that didn't even get an indictment, let alone, anybody having to look at this case and went, oh my God, this policeman acted improper. Second of all, the law, when it is enforced, is usually insane. The police in left-wing cities are policing laws not at all. Basically, the law literally doesn't exist. Law enforcement doesn't exist in places like San Francisco, where basically it's like, oh, did you call us about something that's anything other than like a Class C felony? We're not showing up. Fuck you. Oh, did you just get robbed? Did they steal like $10,000, $15,000 worth of shit? We don't care. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Did your bike get stolen? Did somebody trespass on your property? Did anybody do anything that we should show up for? Oh, well, go fuck yourself. Well, that's police in those places. And then even in a lot of the best case scenarios, you're looking at police that are enforcing stupid laws. They're generally vice cops. Oh, did you go 2 miles an hour over the speed limit? Oh, have you been smoking pot? Oh, did you have too much fun? They're just vice cops a lot of the time. And then what's the other half of what they're doing? Breaking up domestic violence, which I pity them for having to do that, because that's about most of what a cop does. Do you know how many times I've talked myself out of a ticket? Like how many fucking times, even a couple of times I should have been arrested, and was able to talk myself out of it just by showing respect to the cops. Because first of all, it's a pitiable job, sure, because oftentimes if I say yes or no, sir, officer, and bow my head and look really solemn, it might be the most respect that policeman's seen all day. I have some sympathy for them there, and their job is dangerous, yeah, and occasionally they do great things. But by and large, the police, even as a concept, let alone the pathetic state that police are in this country. There's so many criminally undertrained police. I'm not talking about de-escalation. I'm talking about cops that absolutely freaking panic more than the average civilian would in any kind of violent situation. Cops that are completely incapable of subduing men that are half their fucking size. The amount of times I've seen a police shooting where one cop was grievously injured, permanently horribly injured by gunfire, and another cop was killed, shot in the head, was these two grown-ass cops that were big-ass fucking cops that couldn't seem to get this meth-addicted motherfucker who looked like 150 pounds soaking wet out of a car. They couldn't physically control him. They couldn't physically stop him from reaching, not just like anywhere like in his arm's reach, but they couldn't stop him from getting all the way underneath his driver's side door to draw a firearm, in which he shot and killed one officer and shot and severely injured another, and was able to flee the scene. That's the state of police. But the police are fucking pathetic. Most of them are unqualified for their jobs. And believe me, we're going to get into a couple of things that are the blackest of black smears on police that have happened recently, and one that happened not too recently but should have got the same amount of news as the evolved police force did recently. But we'll get there in a second. There's one more thing I have to say, and some people are going to find this highly controversial. Women should be absolutely barred from being police officers, period. That should be a gender-segregated job, period. Because if poorly trained, absolutely pathetically unqualified 220-pound men cannot physically subdue suspects, how well do you think short-ass, tiny-ass women who are at a bare minimum 30% weaker than any given man on the force, bar none, you could give me She-Hulk and I could kick her ass? I'm sorry, seriously. My out of shape, skinny, pasty ass could kick the shit out of most trained fighting women on the fucking planet because I'm a man. Period. Take any man who's in any actual amount of shape, and he can kick the shit out of every woman on the planet, bar fucking none. I could probably kick the shit out of 80% of women on the planet. Okay, that might be a little bit of an overestimation, but you take any man who's anywhere near my size, who's even remotely in shape, there's not a woman on earth who can physically subdue him. What do cops have for non-lethal options? A taser that doesn't work from what I've seen about 75% of the time. You know, if I was wearing a jacket, I'm immune to your taser. That taser's not getting through the jacket. Now, the amount of times I've seen people tasering little old ladies wearing cotton shirts like this, and the taser doesn't fucking go through. And if both prongs don't stick into the flesh of the suspect, they're not getting current cycled through their body, and the taser is doing nothing. I've seen cops shoot a shirtless dude on drugs, and he didn't react to the taser, and it wasn't because he was on drugs. It was because both prongs of the taser didn't stick in him, and he wasn't even wearing clothing. Not to mention that if you have, and not everybody can do this, but if you retain any bodily ability to control yourself, and when you get tased, all you have to do is stop, drop, and roll like you're on fire. You're going to disconnect those prongs. You're no longer being electrocuted. You're no longer being subdued. What else do cops have? Mace, that for some reason I've noticed recently is a significant drop in cops using mace, except for if they're macing handcuffed people sitting on the sidewalk, they seem to forget they have mace. And I understand they have these extendable batons. From what I've seen, looks like you might as well be whacking somebody with a fucking pool noodle, but I rarely see cops using these batons. And you have to ask yourself, why don't cops have nightsticks anymore? Now, I know nightsticks are brutal and severely injure people, but they tend to not kill people, and sometimes the cop needs an actual weapon to physically subdue people, because a lot of people are like, why are cops punching people? And I ask you, why are cops not punching and kicking and stomping on people? Because if your option is, I can't control this suspect, I can't handcuff this suspect, I can't shoot this suspect, what do? Especially if you don't have sometimes, especially with how poorly trained, absolutely, from what I can tell, 0.00% grappling training with any of these cops. None of these cops know even barroom brawl level put a guy in a headlock type shit. And not to mention that not only can cops not subdue people, but I've noticed that cops definitely can't subdue people and protect their sidearm at the same time. And the amount of times I've seen cops get shot with their own fucking gun on camera online is pretty fucking significant. So why would women be allowed to be cops? Because there's only one thing a woman can do to subdue a suspect, and that is to shoot and kill them. Otherwise, there is nothing a female cop can do to subdue a suspect except for ask nicely or radio for men to come and do her job. Period. It is not a matter of I have anything against women. It's women are physically incapable of being police. Most men are physically unqualified to be police. And yet there they are, shitting up the joint. Now let's get to the last thing, which is, for some reason, there's some kind of protocol here that cops can't engage an active shooter without like SWAT, and apparently SWAT can't show up to an active shooter within 60 fucking minutes of the police getting called, apparently. I don't know why this is. I've seen a warrant get served down the block from where my house is, and 2 SWAT teams with literal fucking tanks showed up in the neighborhood, and as far as I can tell, the guy wasn't even home, and they just opened his shit and searched his shit. And I don't know why those tanks were there. I'm assuming because he was a registered gun owner. That's the best guess I got, but that's just a guess. But let's talk about Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, where some crazy kid walked in there and shot and killed, I think was like 12 kids, with an AR-15, of course. But yeah, the Broward County Sheriff's Office, because I remember Six Hex and Hammer saying sheriff's offices are better than Metro PD. That is not true. The Broward County Sheriff's Office, the scum of South Florida, sat there and let kids be killed and didn't enter the building. This happened in Uvalde, Texas, with police and U.S. fucking marshals showing up to this scene. And what they did was physically attack and arrest parents for trying to enter the school to save their own kids. They refused to enter the school, and the person who killed the Uvalde gunman, who I remind you is a gang-affiliated illegal immigrant Mexican transgender individual, good luck spinning that left wing, was killed, I'm presuming illegally, by a border patrol agent who rushed into the building by himself and killed the man. It was not a police officer doing their job on the scene. It was essentially a vigilante who brought this man down. Police should, across this country, first of all, should quit their jobs because, first of all, you will be thrown under the bus whether you do the right thing or not. Whether you are a shameful scum of the earth like Uvalde Police Department or the Broward County Sheriff's Office, the scum of the fucking earth. Or you do your job and some libtard DA and some libtard police chief and some libtard city mayor throws you under the bus and you go to jail forever for doing your job. Congratulations. If you're in law enforcement right now, I know I've just been horrifically insulting you throughout this entire video, but here's my suggestion to you for your benefit, for your health. Quit your job and go into the private sector immediately. Become a security guard. Become a PI or something. Because there is nobody truly on the side of the police. There are people who kiss your ass and pay you lip service and put it back the blue, thin blue line fucking thing on their Facebook. Nobody's coming to save you when the government throws you under the bus. And of course, you're not willing to protect us, so why should we fucking like you? If you're a conservative and you're a right-wing person and you back the blue, you are a cuck. I'm sorry. The police are a joke at best in this country. They're corrupt at worst, or somewhere in between, or arguably worse than being corrupt, they are cowards. And I don't give a fuck if they were just doing their job and official protocol says to do this. If you can stand by and let innocent children die and just stand there while you can hear gunshots and screaming and you don't go in there, you're scum. You're scum. That is your job to go in there. I don't give a fuck what your protocol says. I don't give a fuck what your staff sergeant said. I don't give a fuck what your police chief told you. I don't give a fuck what the mayor told you. If you're sitting there armed to the teeth and there's dozens of you and you're just encircling the building and letting it happen, you are scum. You are fucking scum. I repeat, you are scum. You are less than human. Nobody should care about you. Nobody should feel anything for you. If you die in the line of duty, people should be glad it happened to you. Period. That's what I think of the police. My most charitable thing I can tell you to do is quit your job. And I'm telling that even to the heroes, to those rare police out there, those rare people who actually do heroic and brave things in defense of the public. Which, by the way, this is something that you need to know before you stop watching this video. The Supreme Court basically has an official ruling that says the police's job is to enforce the law. If you think it's to rescue people from harm, no, they're under no obligation to rescue people from harm. The police are under no obligation to stop an active shooting. They're under an obligation to arrest the shooter, but that does not mean they're under obligation to engage and attack the shooter. They're basically only obligated to arrest the shooter if the shooter surrenders. That is literally legally what police are there for. They're there to be vice cops, to arrest you for not having the right stickers and not paying the right taxes, and to, if you smoked the wrong thing or drank the wrong thing at the wrong age, the cop's job is to arrest you. If you're being evicted, their job is to throw you out of your house. Cop's job is not to protect you. They do not protect, they do not serve. They just enforce the law. And if the mayor tells the police chief, hey, if this riot happens, don't do anything. Don't arrest anybody. Don't bring any riot police in. Don't tear gas anyone. Don't lock anyone up for vandalism or assault or murder or larceny. Don't do your job. Then the cops won't do their jobs. Period. No cop is any better or worse than their mayor, and politicians are scum. Therefore, police are scum. By definition. If you back the blue, you're a cuck. Period. This is important to know. I don't give a shit if you are a good police officer. I don't give a shit if you know one. The occupation itself, by definition, is garbage. Nobody should trust you. Everyone should live in fear of you. Period. Because I tell you what, I'm yes sir, no sir, hands up and shit. And guess what? I've stared down the barrel of a police firearm, and only one time for any good reason. 4 times in my lifetime. I could have been killed every time, and I credit me being smart. There was one time where I was apparently parked in a private lot that had no signs that said private property, and someone called the cops and must have told them we were bank robbers or some shit, because the cops screamed up to me and my friend's car, pulled right up, and this was Broward County Sheriff's, by the way, because I lived in Broward before. The same ones that let kids die in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, screamed up, blocked our car in. Each cop got out of each side of their car, driver's side and passenger side, Glocks pointed straight through our windshield. Get out of the car, hands up, get out of the car. And I put my hands up, and they're like, get out of the car, get out of the car. I just put my hands out the window, and I said, I yelled out the window, the car is unlocked. Will you please come get us? I want you to be able to see my hands at all times. Because the amount of time a cop has given a lawful order to an individual to get their license and registration or to open a car door, and once that cop sees somebody reaching, what shitty ass training they do have kicks in, and they go, oh, you're reaching, and just kills people. I've seen a cop fucking pull over some old man who was probably drunk or something in a pickup truck, says, get me your license and registration. So the guy leans over, opens his glove compartment, and the cop point blank shoots him in the back. Just right then and there. Just bang, bang. Like, don't reach, bang. Like that fast. Don't reach, bang. After the guy was obeying a lawful order, he was executed for obeying a lawful order. The amount of time I've seen women shoot people just because they thought they were reaching while obeying lawful orders. Get down to the ground, crawl towards me, okay, lift up your shirt. Guy lifts up his shirt, bang, 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 kills him. Because he was reaching. No, he was obeying a lawful order. And of course, that famous case where a woman supposedly pulled her taser. A taser, by the way, is a lightweight object that weighs probably about as much as this cup half full of coffee, and is supposed to be marked yellow. For some reason, this woman's taser was black, which makes no sense. And was also centered on the front. Her taser was on the front, waistband holster, right? She, of course, draws her heavy as shit, 3 pounds loaded, Glock 42, goes taser, 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 from her hip, blows the guy away. And then even Nick Rekieta, even a whole bunch of lawyers think she was innocent. No, she should have went to jail for years and years and years. And I don't know about second-degree murder. I think it's an absurd charge, but manslaughter and illegal use of a firearm, yeah, go to jail for 10 years. Period. Fuck you. And hopefully get tormented in jail because you're a pig. That's how I feel about police. Now, have I been helped by police in my life? Yep. Have I had positive interactions with police? Yep. Do I actively hate the police? No. Do I hate any given police officer I meet? No. But the concept and the absolute state of the American police force is utterly reprehensible, and I refuse, even on the behalf of a few good men out there who really are good cops, to not condemn the American police force and say, yes, the progressives are correct, all cops are bastards. If you're in the police force right now, first of all, at best, you're a victim. At best, you're a victim. You will be thrown under the bus. No one cares about you, no one values you, and no one will protect you. Maybe there's some places that's not the case. Maybe across the North Midwest where everybody's white, everything's fine. But not really. Right? Not really. You're taking your life into your own hands in a lot more ways than just your job's dangerous. If you're a police officer, again, charitably, quit. But if you think for a second that cops should be treated like first responders, that cops should be heralded the same way as firemen, or as EMTs even, no, absolutely not. Fuck you. Fuck you. And if you expect me to respect you and to have some compassion for you in your difficult job, do better. Do fucking better. Okay? Set an example for me that I don't have to look at you and see Broward County Sheriff's Office, or I don't have to see Evolve PD, or I don't have to see the way cops are around Berkeley, California, or San Francisco or Seattle or even Baltimore or Detroit or Minneapolis, St. Paul or Waukesha, Wisconsin, or, any place where you've proven to be the fucking scum of the earth. The absolute fucking dirtbag scum of the earth. I believe that if you're on the Law and Order party, and if you are the party of freedom and rights, you should be anti-cop and anti-police, period. You would be a hypocrite not to be. Just because libtards hate the police doesn't mean the police are your friend, because they're not. And never have been, honestly. Because anytime that you're involved in anything, you could be a suspect, you could be hurt, and you don't have repercussions. It's incredibly hard, at least it's somewhat possible, unlike how it is with the military or with government agents, but it's still very hard to sue the police or to press charges on the police for fucking anything. And even though some cops who did not deserve to go to jail, like Derek Chauvin and those Atlanta cops that shot that one guy who stole and fired a taser at them and shit, that are probably going to get thrown under the bus and probably be sent to prison for murder anytime now, just because those cops were wronged doesn't mean that cops are my friend. That doesn't mean that there aren't bad cops every day that get away with it. And if you know anything, if you watch any police activity channel, if you watch a channel like The Audit, I highly recommend, where they survey both good and bad police interactions with people. The amount of times that cops brutalize people who don't deserve it. I've seen cops snap the arms of little old ladies, and then they're shown on camera in the police station in leaked video, reviewing the tape of these cops brutally, like just severely injuring a fucking 70-year-old mentally ill woman, breaking her arm, and then laughing about it to each other. And their police department protects them for over a year before a lawsuit deposes them and they get all this information and they get arrested. Yeah. Fuck the police, dude. Seriously.